Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well today. This week I have a flexibility focused practice for you. So that doesn't mean that you have to be really flexible to do this class, but what it means is this class will help you to improve on your existing level of flexibility. One of the biggest myths or misconceptions around the practice of yoga is that you're supposed to be really bendy, really flexible to even begin, to even consider going to a yoga class. And that is just not true at all. I always like to give the analogy or the comparison of if you were to start going to the gym. Most people don't start going to the gym because they're already really strong and they think they're going to be good at it. Most people start going to the gym because they're not very strong or they're not very fit, and they know that the gym is a place where they can improve on those things. Well, a yoga class is exactly the same. You don't go to a yoga class because you're already really bendy, already really, spiritually in tune with your body and your mind. You go to yoga to start learning those things, to improve on those things. So this practice is all about improving on your existing level of flexibility. You don't need to be really bendy to do it. I hope that makes sense. So without any more rambling from me, we'll get started. I'm going to bring you into child's pose to begin. So come around onto your hands and your knees. A little bit of space between the knees, hands under the shoulders. We'll bring the big toes together, and actually let's take the knees a little bit wider, so a little bit more space. Sit your hips all the way back towards your heels. Now this is the first little test of flexibility around the ankles. If it's a little bit tough there, just stay a little bit higher up like this. Or if you really need to, you can tuck the toes. But push the hips as far back as you comfortably can. And just take a gentle movement from side to side, just like this. Just easing into the hips, getting them a little bit more open. Trying to lower your belly as low to the ground at this point as you can. And then we'll stretch the arms out. We actively stretch out the arms. Take your hands as wide as your mat. And let your forehead come down to rest. If the forehead doesn't come all the way to the ground, don't worry about that today. Just let the head sort of float there. Stretch out through the arms and the shoulders. And then bring your awareness to your breathing. Just watch your breath as it slows into a steady rhythm. As you deepen the breath, maybe you can feel the breath stretching out the muscles and the skin on your back. This openness across the back of the body as we breathe in child's pose. Let's take one more really full breath here. And then slowly lifting up, pull your body forwards. We're going to keep the knees wide and just bring the hands underneath the shoulders, spreading out through the fingers. And we'll take cat-cow in this position. So knees are still about as wide as the mat, big toes together. So take a breath in, dip the belly down, lift the head so the pelvis is tilting forwards. As you exhale, round your back, relax your head down, pelvis tilts back. Keep that going, so breathing in, arching the back, tilting the pelvis forwards. Breathing out, we round the back, tilt the pelvis, kind of tucking your tail underneath you. Keep going at your own pace now. Try and synchronize the movement with the breath. We want the breath to be nice and long, nice and full, so the movement will be slow. One more cycle of breath. And then coming back to a neutral position with the spine. We'll pick up the right hand, reach it all the way up to the ceiling. As you reach, try and turn your chest towards the right. Actively reach through the fingertips. So this is a good way of increasing your awareness of your body, is making sure that anytime you're lifting an arm or sending it off in a different direction, you energize all the way into the fingers. So rather than like this, a bit floppy, and sometimes I see in class this ends up happening where the arm is kind of completely out of your sight and doing its own thing. Instead of that, we want to energize through the fingertips, actively reach, and that will help to open into this twist a little bit more. So energy all the way into the fingertips. One more breath here, really turning the chest, maybe a little bit more now. And then bringing that hand all the way back down to the mat. Lovely. Going to the other side now. So sending the left arm up, turning your chest towards the left, actively reaching with the fingertips. Breathing here. So notice if the breath has become a bit shorter. Think about sending your breath all the way down towards your belly. Reach up a little bit more with the fingertips. One more breath in. And exhale as that hand comes all the way down. Lovely. Then bring the knees really close together, feet close together. I'm going to tuck the toes and stretch out through the feet. Now this can be pretty tough on the feet, so if you've got any issues there, issues with the toes or feet or ankles, and just stay a lot more gently in this stretch. So stay like this, keep the bum a bit more lifted, and then see if you can sit up from there. So you can see there's not much weight going through my feet. So that's a nice place to start if you're new to this stretch or you've got any problems with the feet at the moment. If you're feeling ready to go that little bit deeper, you can sit back, try and get all 10 toes really tucked under. So stretching out through the toes, through the soles of the feet, and through the ankles. Now this can be tough, so keep connected to the breath. If it's feeling really tough, let the breath out through the mouth. This is a good way of having a release, a relief. Now loop your shoulders back and down, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and interlace your fingers behind your back. So squeeze the shoulders, reach down towards the ground with the knuckles. Let's go for 2 more big breaths here. If it's getting too much on the toes, just lift off, give yourself a little bit less pressure through the feet. And then releasing the hands, just roll the shoulders. Come back to tabletop position. So we're going to untuck the toes, give them a nice wiggle around, just roll the ankles as well. You might hear some good clicks and crunches. And then we're going to come up into downward facing dog from there. So we spread out the fingers, hands are shoulder width apart or even as wide as the mat. It's nice to go a bit wider sometimes, gives the shoulders a bit more space. A little bit of space between the feet. We're going to reach the bum back towards the heels and then up towards the ceiling. So relaxing the head between the arms and start to pedal through the feet like this. So bending one leg and then the other, really stretching out through the calves, into the ankles. Take a little walk through the feet, shake the hips side to side, any kind of movement that feels good here. And the more regularly you practice yoga, the more experienced you get, the easier it will be to just intuitively move and stretch your body in a way that feels good. So if you're not quite sure what to do or how to move, don't worry, that will feel a bit easier and more natural with time. Let's take one more breath here. And then soften your knees, so bend the knees a little bit, look forwards. And we're going to take tiny little baby steps, crossing one foot over the other as we walk up to the top of the mat. So what I mean by that is lift up onto the tiptoes, take the right foot just a tiny step forwards, and then cross the left foot over the right. Again, tiny little baby steps, and a crisscrossing the feet, lifting the hips up high as you walk forwards. If it gets to a point where you can't touch the ground anymore, that's fine. You can just lift the hands up and walk the rest of the way. If you can keep the hands on the ground, you're going to walk the feet all the way up towards the hands, maybe lifting onto the fingertips and bringing the feet to hip distance apart, up at the top of the mat. Now bend your knees generously so your belly is resting on your thighs And just take hold of opposite elbows like this. So a little cradle with the arms. Let the elbows drop heavily towards the ground. Tuck your chin slightly and let your head drop heavily as well. And deepen your breath here. Feel that stretch along the back and around the shoulders. Let's go for a big sigh here, letting out some tension, some stress, whatever you need to let go of. So big breath in through the nose, sighing out through the mouth. 2 more like that. Breathing in, sighing out. And once more, breathing in, sighing out. And now let the arms go and very slowly roll up your spine, coming up to stand. So your head stays heavy right until you've come all the way up. Gradually then lifting the head, looping the shoulders back. Let's do 3 big circles, up, back and down with the shoulders. And then have a little shake out. See how everything's feeling. Coming to stand at the top of your mat with the feet hip distance apart, palms turned to face forwards, Uttanasana, mountain pose. Now take a breath in, reach your arms wide, bring the palms together overhead. And then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana, soften the knees on the way down, release the hands. If the fingertips come to the ground, great. If not, you're going to bring the hands to the backs of the calves like this. So hands are either on the ground or on the backs of the calves, tucking the chin slightly and reaching the top part, the crown of your head down towards the ground. If fingertips come to the ground, you can work towards placing the palms down. If that happens naturally for you, you could start to walk the hands back in line with the feet like this. So go to your level. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Just go to your level for today. Let's take 1 more breath there. Nice. Then bring the hands to the fronts of the shins. Lift to this halfway flat back position. Straighten the legs. Reach forwards with the crown of the head. And then releasing back, softening the knees into a forward fold. Bring fingertips to the ground. Step the right foot back into a lunge. Now I'm going to try and keep this back knee lifted to begin with. So bend the front knee, look forwards, lift up through the chest as much as you can. Press back through the right heel. So you should start to feel this stretch around the right hip. You might be feeling it around the left as well. We're just going to rock forwards and backwards on the toes a little bit. So rocking on that back foot, pressing the heel back and then coming forwards. Trying to remember to breathe at the same time. Nice. Now let that knee come down to the mat. Place the right palm down to the ground and take a big twist to the left. Reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. Turn the chest as we did before. Keep the fingertips active. Breathe here. Try and sink the hips down towards the ground as much as you can. If that doesn't make sense, what I mean is not keeping the hips all the way up here like this, but trying to press the front knee forwards and sink the hips towards the ground. Let's take 1 more breath in. Exhale to bring that hand down. Now we're going to take a little flow forwards and backwards. So come right up onto the toes of that back foot. What we're going to do is lift the chest looking forwards just on the fingertips here. Take a breath in. As you exhale, you're going to pull the hips back, but we're also going to lift the back knee. So coming right up onto the tiptoes. See how I'm lifting up my back heel. So I'm not down here with the foot. I'm all the way up here. I'm going to pull my hips back just as far as they can go. Now, my leg does straighten here, but if yours doesn't, don't worry. Keep it as bent as it needs to be, that front leg. But try and straighten and lift through the back leg. Okay, so then we're coming forwards again, bending that front knee, looking forwards, drop the back knee down to the mat. Take a breath in. As you exhale, lift the back knee, lift the hips, pull the hips back right up onto the tiptoes. And let's keep that going. So breathing in, looking forwards, drop the back knee. Breathing out, we lift the hips high, lower the head down. Inhale, coming forwards, looking forwards, drop the back knee. Exhale, lift the hips high, come right onto the tiptoes, lower the head. Once more, inhale, coming forwards, drop the back knee. Exhale, lifting up high, pull the hips back. Now pause here, come right up onto the tiptoes of that back foot, press down through the front foot, and let's see if we can take a twist from here. You might need to bend the knee a little bit more. You're going to stay on the fingertips or maybe the palm of the right hand and take the left arm all the way up. So you might be feeling this on the outer edge of that left leg into the IT band. If it's a little too much being this far up, then just bend into the front knee a little bit, lower the hips down slightly so that you can get into that twist. Let's take another breath in and then exhale, bring that hand down, step through into a high plank from there. So step that foot back, take a breath in, exhale to come down to the belly. You could drop the knees first if you like, lower down all the way. Whew, well done. Point the toes back, hands are under the shoulders, we lift into cobra. Try and keep elbows tucked in. Inhale as you come up, exhale as you release down. Now take the hands a little bit wider and further forwards and go again. Inhale, lifting up, point the toes. Exhale, coming down. One more time, even wider and further forwards. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, releasing down. Lovely. Bring the hands under the shoulders now. We'll lift back into downward facing dog. Relaxing the head between the arms, pedaling through the feet to moving any way you feel your body wants to move. Then we'll try sending the right leg up into three-legged dog. Go as high as that foot will go, but try and keep the legs straight at the same time. Arms are straight as well. Take another breath or two here. Pressing the left heel towards the ground, pushing through both hands. And then we're stepping that right foot through into a lunge. So big step up, give it a hand if it needs it. Shuffle it all the way to the top of the mat so your knee is over your heel. And then come up onto the fingertips, lift the chest, look forwards. I'm going to repeat what we did on the other side. So rocking forwards and backwards on the toes. You can hear my ankle clicking and cracking there. So don't worry if yours is doing the same. It just means those joints are waking up. Lovely. And then we'll lower the back knee down. Okay, so we're going to move into that same sequence as before, shifting the body weight forwards and backwards. Now don't worry too much about whether you think you're doing this right or not. You really can't go wrong with this. As long as you're not doing anything to harm your body, I'm sure what you're doing is just right. So don't get too hung up on whether you're doing it exactly like me. Just find a bit of movement forwards and backwards with your breath. So let's take a breath in, looking forwards, lifting onto the fingertips, pushing this front knee forwards, sinking down in the hips. And then lift the back knee, exhale as you send the hips back, lift right up onto the tiptoes of that back foot. Inhale, coming forwards, lift the chest, lower the back knee to the mat. Exhale, send the hips back, lift onto the tiptoes. And let's just keep that going with the breath. So I'll let you go at your own pace now. Breathing in as you come forwards, breathing out as you go back. Let's go one more time. And then pausing in this lifted position, right up onto the tiptoes. We're going to bring left hand to the ground wherever it wants to go. It doesn't have to be all the way to the top of the mat. It could be a little bit further back, either fingertips or the palm. And we're taking a twist to the right, reach the right arm up, bend that front knee if you need to. Don't force it if it's not feeling good with the legs straight. Reach up through the fingertips, breathe here. Try and stay lifted on the toes of the back foot. Another breath in. And then exhale, hands come down. We're going to hop up to the front of the mat now. So hop that back foot in and come back to Uttanasana, your forward fold. So if the hands don't touch the ground when the legs are straight, bring the hands to the backs of the calves, tuck the chin and bring yourself close towards the legs. If the hands do come to the ground, this time we're going to try lifting the right toes like this and tucking the right hand underneath. So the palm is touching the bottom of the foot. So the toes are right against the crease of the wrist. And then doing the same with the left foot and left hand. And using that pressure as the feet kind of press into the hands to pull yourself in towards the legs. Pause and breathe. One more breath here, relax the neck. And then release the hands if they're under the feet. Soften the knees a little bit, let the arms dangle. And slowly we're going to roll up to stand. Phew, coming all the way up, loop the shoulders back. Again, have a moment to just shake things out, see how everything's feeling. And then come back to mountain pose, so turn the palms to face forwards, let the shoulders relax down. Just take a moment there to reset, to come back to the breath. Okay, then on your next breath in, send the arms up overhead, bring the palms together. And exhale, coming back to Uttanasana, forward fold, just for one breath, but really fold your body in, tuck the chin. And then on an inhale, lifting halfway, bring the hands up the shins, lift the head looking forwards. Exhale to lower. We're going to step the left foot back first this time, but we're coming to warrior one. So stepping back, make sure you're on 2 tracks instead of a tightrope. Turn the toes out just enough so that the heel can come down. So not turning the toes all the way out to 90 degrees, just to about 45. Bend into the front knee, keep the back leg straight. Lift up through the arms, energize through the fingers. Push back into that left heel, so we're actively pressing down there. You should feel this in that calf. And then we're sinking down, pushing the knee forwards, trying to aim the hips forwards as well. Then find a drishti, something you can fix your eyes on. Keep those arms active. Breathe deep down into the belly. Nice. Now coming into Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. We're going to bring the hands round and onto the hips for this version. Straighten this front leg, keep the hips aiming forwards. Now you'll know if your knees tend to lock, so mine do. You can see right now my knees are kind of locked out. So what you're going to do instead is just take a tiny micro bend, a little softness through the knees. And take a big breath in, stand as tall as you can. On your exhale, hinge forwards from the hips and think about reaching your head forwards. So rather than coming down as low as you can, just reach forwards. Keep pushing into that back heel. Keep that little micro bend in the knee. Find length through the spine. Breathe. Just looking down to the ground, find your balance there. And this is pyramid pose. Now we're going to transition into Revolved Triangle here. So let's take it slowly. We're going to bring the left hand across to the outer edge of this right leg. So bring it down as low as you can take it with the palm facing away. Keep looking to the ground, keep breathing, find your balance here. Then if you feel ready, if it feels safe, you're going to take a twist towards the right. So use the back of this hand to press against the leg to help you find that rotation. Keep pushing into the back heel, lift this right shoulder towards the ceiling. Twisting through the spine, keeping length though the crown of the head is still reaching forwards. Nice, breathe here. There's the option to send the right arm up, reaching up with the fingertips. If the shoulder doesn't like that, keep the hand on the hip though. Nearly losing my balance, so don't worry if you are. Let's take one more breath. And And then slowly coming back, looking towards the ground. Bring both hands to the hips and lift all the way back up. Phew. Take a deep breath, relax the shoulders. And then soften that front knee. Inhale, sweep the arms back up to warrior one. Exhale, bring the hands all the way down. Step back into plank from there. Nice. Inhale to hold. And exhale down to the belly. Pointing the toes, coming into cobra, bhujangasana. Inhale to lift. Shoulders draw back. Exhale to lower. Take the hands a little bit wider and further forwards. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Keep toes pointing back. Let's go one more time. Maybe a little bit wider with the hands. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, releasing down. And bring the hands back under the shoulders. Coming back up to downward facing dog. One last time. You're doing really well. We're nearly there. Relax the head. Again, you can shake out the neck, rock the hips side to side, any kind of movement you like. Let's take another sighing breath out through the mouth. And if you took three-legged dog on the other side, we're sending the left leg up now, balancing that one out. So keep the legs straight as much as you can, push through both hands. Straighten out the arms. One more breath. And then stepping this left foot through, we're going to take warrior one on the other side. So give it a hand again if it needs it. Bring the foot all the way up to the top of the mat so the knee is stacked over the heel. Turn out the back toes, again just to about 45 degrees. And as you lift up, you might just check that the hips are aiming forwards, so they're not turned out to the side like this. They're facing the top of the mat. And then we send the arms up and we're into warrior one. Come back to that same drishti, that same focus point. Push down into the back heel. Feel that calf stretching out and press the front knee forwards. Breathe down into the belly. Spread out through the fingers. Okay, then bringing the hands round to the hips. Straighten the front leg, just make sure hips are aiming forwards. If you're feeling like you're really wobbly, just check that your feet aren't on a tight rope, so you can take the front foot just a little wider on the mat. Again, maybe softening the knees rather than locking them out. So maybe you take a little micro bend. Take a breath in. On the exhale, hinge forwards from the hips, reach forwards with the crown of the head, push back into that right heel. Look down towards the ground into pyramid pose. Now breathe here. Again, we're looking for length through the spine here. So rather than going as low as you possibly can, you're just trying to lengthen out the back, reach the crown of the head forwards. Now coming into Revolved Triangle, take it slowly. Don't rush into this or you will wobble. We're going to take the right hand across to the outer edge of the left foot, the left leg, with the palm facing away. Find your balance there, push into the back heel to keep you steady. And then try twisting towards the left. So turning the chest, lifting that left shoulder. Keep the legs strong, find your breath. Again, there's the option to take the left arm up to the ceiling with the palm facing away, fingertips reaching up. But if your shoulder doesn't like that, keep the hand on the hip instead. Let's go one more breath if you're still there. And then slowly bring your gaze back down to the ground, hands back to the hips, and rising all the way back up. Well done. Soften that front knee. Inhale, send the arms up. Exhale, bring the hands all the way down. Step up to the top of the mat. One last time, Uttanasana, forward fold. Really going to your full expression of this asana now. So if the hands don't comfortably come to the ground, and this is with the legs fairly straight now,
Then bring the hands to the backs of the calves. Draw your body in towards the legs like this. If the hands do come to the ground, bring the palms down either side of the feet. And again, draw the crown of the head towards the ground. One more breath. And then just slowly lifting the head, soften the knees. We're going to step one foot back and then the other, lowering down to the knees and swinging the legs around in front. Well done. Coming down to sit. That's all the hard stuff done. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together and just slow everything down. Now coming into a soft butterfly pose. That's what we would call it in yin yoga. And we're treating this like a more of a yin shape. So we'll call it butterfly pose for today. So don't bring your feet all the way in like this. Keep them a bit further away. So you've got about 2 hands worth of space between your body and your feet. Bring the hands to the feet or ankles. Have a little shuffle side to side so you get settled on the sit bones. And let your back round, let your head drop down. Relaxing the jaw. And softening the skin across the forehead. You might like to close the eyes here and just watch, observe as your breathing slows down, as your heart rate slows down. Let's take one more of those big sighing breaths, releasing on the exhale. So draw the breath in through the nose, sighing out. And then slowly, gently roll up the spine, come up to sit, and bring the knees together. Lean back into your hands with a bit of space between the feet like this. And keeping the feet in position on the mat, we're going to drop both knees all the way over to the right. And then bring them back through centre and drop the knees all the way over to the left. Just repeating that a few times, going side to side. You'll probably find that you start to shift forwards. Your bum will start to kind of shuffle forwards along the mat, that's fine. And then once you've come all the way towards your feet with your bum, you're going to release and come down to lay on your back. Bring the knees to the chest. Take a little gentle rock side to side. And then bring the hands to the backs of the thighs. One last little hamstring and leg stretch. Send your feet up towards the ceiling. You're going to point the toes, take a breath in, and flex the foot. Exhale on the flex. Inhale to point the toes, and exhale to flex. Inhale, point. Exhale to flex. And then release and just roll the ankles around. And then let the knees bend, let the feet drop to the mat. And we'll come into Shavasana. So you could rest the arms out by your sides with the palms facing up, shuffling the shoulders down away from the ears. And you could choose to keep the knees bent, or you could straighten the legs, taking the feet fairly wide on the mat. Take a moment to shuffle, to get comfortable. And now we come to stillness, softening through the muscles of the face, allowing the whole body to become heavy. the purpose of the yoga asanas, that means the postures, the reason that we develop our flexibility through these poses is so that we can then come to stillness comfortably. So that we can comfortably sit in meditation, for example, without feeling that the hips are tight or the back is uncomfortable. The more strong and flexible we become through these postures, the easier it feels to sit for a longer period of time in meditation. And that really is the purpose. That's the reason we practice the asanas, the postures, to prepare the body for stillness. So even if you feel tempted to skip this part, I'd encourage you to stay with this for a little bit longer. Let your body come to stillness, let your body rest. And just see where your mind wants to go. It's okay for the mind to wander. It's completely normal and natural. But what we start to practice is observing those thoughts, labeling them, noticing what it is that the mind wants to think about, and then trying to keep those thoughts at somewhat of a distance. So rather than engaging with thought, allow the thought to come, notice what it is, and then return your focus to your breathing. And keep moving through that cycle. A thought will come to visit you. Just notice what it is, maybe put a label on it, and then redirect your attention back to the breath. Okay, now keeping your body relaxed, just become aware of the ground beneath you. Become aware of the feeling of your body resting on the mat. And take a nice deep breath. And then we'll start to wiggle the fingers and toes, find a little gentle movement. And take your time here, there's no rush to get moving again. Once you're ready to move, you can bend the knees, maybe hugging the knees to the chest again if that feels good. And just let the feet drop to the mat. I'm going to leave you there, so no need to get up just yet. Take a little bit longer to rest here if you can. But we'll bring the palms together in Anjali Mudra and just bring the thumbs up towards the third eye, up towards the forehead. Thank you. Thank you for joining me for this practice. I hope you're feeling good, feeling nicely stretched out, a little bit more free and flexible in your body. Have a lovely rest of the day. I hope to see you again soon.